I'm sure I don't need to tell you what Highguard is, since it's been talked about often within the gaming community recently. When this game was first introduced back during the 2025 Gaming Awards, our good old friend Jeff Keatley decided to show us a trailer for this game and how it would play out. Right off the bat, people realized this game was another hero shooter, and that's when the backlash began. We had another hero shooter game called Concord in 2024, and that game was a financial disaster that had a lifespan of about 11 days before Sony pulled the plug on the game. It wasn't until January of this year that the game finally came out on Steam, and the game itself had mostly negative reviews at the time of this recording. But hey, at least the game has more players than Concord did. Hooray! So with Highguard being the buzz right now, I decided to try and play this game myself, and I was not impressed by the game's performance. The game was boring, enemies are bullet sponges, the maps are way too huge for 3v3s, and after playing for a while, I was just done. But this is not a review video on Highguard, since everyone already knows this game sucks. Instead, I'm going to talk about the weapons in Highguard, because as a proud American and a gun nut, I want to understand how these weapons function since their designs intrigue me. So sit back and relax, or maybe watch this video on a second monitor while you're playing a much better game than Highguard, and we will start talking about the strange weapons of Highguard.
Сука, блять!
The Corsair is an experimental 3-barrel SMG that looks very familiar to the Russian PPSH-41, and it fires in bursts. Since this gun has 3 barrels, I kinda question the science behind the magazine and how it feeds rounds into the 3 barrels, due to it being a double-stack magazine with only one opening on the top. Maybe since it's firing so quickly in bursts, the rounds are quickly being fed into the 3 barrels before the shots are fired, but each burst is 6 rounds. So is each trigger pull somehow able to fire 6 rounds in one burst? The only way this SMG could work is that it's using the same burst mechanism as the AN-94, where the rifle fires 1 bullet before sending out the second bullet in a quick 2-round burst. Also, what's with the charging handle during the empty reload? It has an AR-15 style charging handle instead of a side charging handle like the real PPSH-41. Either way, the Corsair is a strange SMG that I can't explain how it functions or how it magically fires 6-round bursts. If someone in the comment section can explain how this gun could work, I would appreciate it. The Kraken is not a normal pump-action shotgun. For one thing, the ejection port is on top of the shotgun instead of being on the right side of the receiver, or at the bottom like the Ithaca 37. Another strange feature this shotgun has is the 45-degree iron sights. I assume the reason why you have to aim this shotgun in a tactical stance is due to the ejection port being on top of the shotgun. I don't know why the game developers chose this design for the Kraken, but hey, at least they didn't make the shotgun pump forward like Bethesda did in Starfield.
Brother,
Reloading the shotgun is also kinda cool, seeing how your character double loads the shotgun like they're John Wick. But I'm kinda mixed on the empty reload due to your character having to place the shotgun shell into the injection port of the receiver before loading the other 3 shells into the tube. It's that small part holding the shell that rubs me the wrong way with how exposed all those parts are in the Kraken, compared to how you're supposed to insert the shell in a normal pump-action shotgun. There's not much I can say about this shotgun, other than the Kraken does remind me of the Winchester 1897, but looks more futuristic. There is also a legendary version of the Kraken, where it fires 2 shells at once and has an extended tube of 14 shells. So how does a shotgun fire 2 shells at once from a single barrel and have 14 shells in the tube make any sense? I don't know, just don't question it. Also, this gun sucks. The Paladin is a fully automatic shotgun that fires from a strip magazine, kind of like the French Hot Kiss or the Drifter 9 from Sulphur. The only thing I could find really interesting about this shotgun is the fact that the gun doesn't inject empty shells. Instead, the spent shell casings are still in the magazine after firing, making the gun less likely to jam or stovepipe. I do find it weird that during the partial reload animation, the strip magazine automatically jolts back to the start so that your character could just pull the magazine out. I don't know if this is an animation error or the gun itself was designed like this, because I would have liked to see the character smack the magazine backwards just like the Hotchkiss does in Battlefield 1. But that's all I have to say about the Paladin, is that it's an interesting shotgun.
Ow! That was a good one!
Oh boy. I don't know how the Viper works, since reloading this thing would be a nightmare to do. The Viper looks very similar to the H&K UMP, but the magazine design is all wrong. Basically, you have to push the gun upward just to extract the magazine. You can even see in the empty reload animation that your character has to hold the top open before loading the weird triangular magazine, before slamming the top down like the jaws of a snappy turtle. Heck, you can even see your character's thumb clipping into the top part of the gun. The Viper itself is a badly designed SMG that can be risky to reload, due to the risk of smashing your thumb or burning your hand while charging the SMG, due to the charging handle being connected to the exposed barrel on the top of the gun. To say the Viper is a safety hazard would be an understatement, and I can't imagine how overly complicated the mechanisms are on this gun. I don't know what Wildlight was smoking before creating this monstrosity, but I know for a fact this SMG has too many red flags to be practical. There is a legendary version that shows the SMG has the stock folded, and fires impact rounds that I guess do more damage than usual? But I don't really see the difference besides the fact that your character decides to fold the stock on the Viper for some reason. The Vanguard is your standard assault rifle. The gun itself looks to be a futuristic Remington ACR with an ambidextrous ejection port, meaning that the Vanguard rifle can be converted to fire for left-handed people like my friend Brandon. I noticed that there are two switches on the side of the rifle. Maybe one changes the fire mode while the other is the safety. But why couldn't they both be on the same switch instead of two? Also, another detail about this gun is when you ADS, you have the option to slap a 3x scope on your rifle to allow you to see fodder just for no reason. The Big Rig is the only light machine gun in the game. It fires from a 60-round drum-fed magazine, just like the Russian RPD. There's not really much I could say about this gun, other than when reloading the gun, pulling back on the charging handle will automatically pull the ammo belt into the gun, rather than letting the player do the whole thing manually. So yeah, the Big Rig is an all-around light machine gun that I can't find anything wrong with, or have any gripes about, since its design is interesting. The Dynasty is the Vanguard, but better. It's basically a Russian AKM with a very short barrel. I will say that the empty reload animation for the Dynasty is something I've never seen before. I don't know if this is some type of strange Eastern European reload tactic, but it's definitely different. And just like the Vanguard, it also has a feature of having a 3x scope that you can mount to the top of your gun. The Saber Rifle is a bullpup rifle that fires in bursts. The rifle itself looks to be a hybrid of the Steyr AUG and the French FAMAS. The Saber has a built-in ACOG scope mounted to the top, so that way you can be able to shoot the rifle more accurately at long distances. I did notice when firing the rifle from the hip, you would notice that the vent doors at the front of the gun are opening up to what I assume is the gun is pushing out some of the gas after each burst. I do find the empty reload for the Saber Rifle to be awkward by the way the rifle is being held upside down to load in the magazine. But either way, the rifle is interesting to look at nonetheless. The Longhorn is the only handgun in the game, and it's basically a clone of the hand cannons from Destiny 2.
Wow! How original!
This revolver is single action only, and holds 5 rounds in the cylinder, even though the cylinder clearly can hold 6 rounds during the reload animation. And just like the assault rifles, you can attach a scope to the gun to get a better sight picture. There are 2 legendary effects for the Longhorn. You have the 2-shot variant, just like the Kraken, and there's the repeater variant, which is where your character fans the hammer like a wannabe gunslinger. Other than that, the Longhorn looks to be a decent break-action revolver to use in-game. The Ranger is the only sniper rifle in the game, and while the description says it's a bolt-action rifle, it isn't. The Ranger is a lever-action rifle that probably resembles the Marlin 1895, and it's not the worst gun if you're a skilled marksman. There's not much I could say about this rifle, but I find it interesting that the lever-action rifle is magazine-fed instead of tube-fed. I also like the detail where your character fumbles the magazine a bit during the reload animation. There is also a feature on the Ranger where you could change it from a 3x to a 6x scope just to help you see a bit farther out on the map. Of course, this rifle has a legendary effect, which is the repeater, just like the Longhorn. It turns your lever-action rifle into a...
What the hell is even that?
Yeah, it turns your lever-action rifle into a full auto rifle. I don't know how your character can keep up with this insane fire rate, but at this point nothing makes sense in this game. The Blast Hammer is a hammer that is fitted with an explosive cartridge so you can break walls with ease. The hammer can be used as a melee weapon, but due to the slow animation this weapon has, you might as well just use this thing for what it is for and destroy enemy fortifications. This weapon has 2 effects. The first one is Earthquake, where when using the hammer, will create a rock wall that can be used for protection against enemies. There is also the Smokebringer, where once you use the hammer, a smoke screen will appear concealing yourself from the enemy.
This is like the time I pulled you out of the dumpster, but more fun!
For all of those Pathfinder mains in Apex Legends, you don't have to worry anymore because the Highguard has a zipline gun for you. All this does is shoot a zipline so that you can get from point A to point B but faster, or if you want to get to higher places for some reason. The tool has 2 effects. You have Unbreakable, where your zipline can't be destroyed by enemies, and there is Invisible, that causes you to go invisible while ziplining so that way enemies can't see you coming. Other than that, the zipline is just a tool for you to move around quickly. The rocket launcher is a poorly designed weapon that could be more of a danger to the user than to the enemy. The fact you're holding an exposed part of the rocket launcher so close to your face is a bad idea, because once that rocket ignites and fires, the exhaust from that rocket is going to burn your face in the process. Not to mention the noise from the rocket blast could deafen your right ear after firing this thing multiple times. There are 2 effects for the rocket launcher. You got Thermite, which is supposed to deal more damage to structures, and Multi-Lock, where you can lock up to 3 targets and fire homing missiles. I could not get the multi-lock to work. I don't know if it was because I was using test dummies or if the lock only works on players. But I don't care enough to figure out how this feature works since this game is already terrible. The axe is your only melee weapon in game. While it can be used as a melee weapon, it was more likely designed to be your last resort weapon, kind of like the axe in Quake. So what exactly are you supposed to do with it? Simple, just break blue rocks all over the map with it, or throw it like you're throwing a tomahawk at Black Ops. Either way, the axe serves more as a tool rather than a melee weapon, so I wouldn't recommend taking down enemies with it. So yeah, that's all the weapons in Highguard. Some of them were interesting, cool, and borderline stupid to use. While Highguard itself is a terrible game, I can appreciate the weapons and how they function in-game. It can be the same for Concord. While the game was a failure, you have to admit the weapons and reload animations done in that game were actually pretty cool to look at. But I'm not here to defend both Highguard and Concord. The reason why I made this video is to showcase that while some games are terrible to play and experience, there are still some details the game developers added that can be interesting to look at. If there were any weapon details that I might have missed in this video, then I wouldn't mind if you would comment down below telling me. And if you enjoyed this video, why not give it a like? And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.